Okay, so shall we start?
There we
It's
go.
only one student to come. I think it is Dilek, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, the stream is on. I think everything is set up.
Yeah.
Right.
We can be back around 2:45.
I'll be back for the Sunday school 2:45.
Okay. Happy Vesak Day, everyone. Vesak Day is coming up. And today we have a little bit of change of the puja because I need to give you 8 precepts first, and you need to request 8 precepts first. And we're gonna take out the Dhamma school song and the respecting parents part because you are taking precepts today. So those are the only 2 things that we are not doing. And after giving you precepts, we do the same puja and then do a meditation, and then I do a short talk about the sila, because sila is what you are taking, and then the significance of the Vesak full moon poet day. So these are the main things that will be happening. And around 2:45, Mike will be back to do the class, but in a way that will conform to today's importance. The same, lesson, but he will conform it to the importance of today. And at the end of the class, I would say the talk, I'll be terminating your precepts at the end. You will be back to 5 precepts at the end. So that's the plan. Okay, so the first thing is to request the 8 precept. But normally for 5 precept, lay people do not request because it doesn't happen for some reason. But for 8 precept, they need to request. So we have Delon, Ovindu Ovini, Naomi, Seth, and I hope Dilaka should be on the way. And I hope, things will happen that way. So now it's time to repeat after me because you don't know what is to say, to request. So I will, say the Pali word, Pali sentence, and then the English translation so you know what it is. Okay, so please repeat after me. First, I would say you can say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okase, ahang bante, tisaranena, sadding, attanga, silang, yachami. Anuggahang katva, silang, tetame banti. I probably think somebody can say, so others can be encouraged. Oh, who wants to say? So, Ovini or Delon, you can do that too?
We can say it after you.
I'm sorry? Yeah, okay, please. The meaning, permit me Bante. Ovini?
Permit me, Bante.
I ask for the be refuge together with the 8 precepts. Please Bante, kindly administer the precepts to me. Dutiyampi, Tatiyampi. A second time, a third time, permit me.
Dutiyampi, Tatyampi. A second time, third time, permit me.
Okay, now you all need to say Namo Tassa Bhagavato 3 times to start.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Buddhang
Saranang
saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang
Saranang
saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiampi Dhammang
saranang
gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Okay, here I'm going to give you the 8 precepts. Panati pata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata Vedamani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami.
I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
the training rule
to abstain from
to abstain from
taking life.
taking life.
Adinna dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinna Dana Vedamani Samadhiyami.
I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
the training rule
to abstain from
to abstain from
taking what's not given.
taking what's not given.
Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Brahmacharya Samadhiyami.
I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
the training rule
to abstain from
to abstain from
all sensuous activity.
all sensuous activity.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada Vedamani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami.
I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
the training rule
to abstain from
to abstain from
false speech.
false speech.
Suramiraya majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Suramere Majjapama Vedamani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami.
I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
the training rule
to abstain from
to abstain from
intoxicating drinks
intoxicating drinks
and drugs
and drugs,
causing heedlessness.
causing heedlessness.
Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kala Bhojana Vedamani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami.
I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
the training rule
to abstain from
to abstain from
eating
eating
at improper times.
At improper times.
improper times.
Nacha gita vadita
Nachikitavadita
visuka dassana
Sukadasana
mala gandha vilepana
Mala
dharana mandana
Vandana.
vibhusanattana
Bhusanattana
veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Vedamani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami.
I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
training rule
to abstain from
To abstain from
dancing,
dancing,
singing,
singing,
music,
music,
shows,
shows,
wearing garlands,
wearing garlands,
using perfumes,
using perfumes,
and beautifying with cosmetics.
beautifying with cosmetics.
Uccasayana,
Uchasayana,
Mahasayana,
Sayana,
Veramani, Sikhapadang Samadhyami. I undertake
I undertake
the training rule
the training rule
to abstain from
to abstain from
the use of
the use of
high and large seats and beds.
high and large seats and beds.
Okay, now you taken the 8 precepts. Just to let you know that these mean kind of an expanded version of the precept, so you need to keep to the precept. Just to let you know, Ovindu's I think video. I think have you turned on something called, I think Ovini is sometimes kind of blackout. Probably you have added something to the video, kind of a mirrored something, I guess. Delop, please do not turn off the video because you are going here and there. You go here, you go to the top, you go to the bottom, go here and there. Yeah, please be there. Okay, just to make sure that everything is going well. Okay, so let's do the puja part now. I hope that you all offered the offering to the Buddha. So let's do the reciting to the Buddha to offer all these offerings. Let's say Namo Tassa 3 times, one more time. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. Veneration to the Buddha. Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddhu Binja Charana Sangpanno Sugatu Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Sattha Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati. Please recite together. Veneration to the Dhamma. Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandittiko Akaliko Ehi Passiko Openaiko Pachattang Veditambu Vinyuhiti. Veneration to the Sangha. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Nyaya Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Samiti Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yadidang Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pungala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakhineyo Anjali Karaneyo Anutterang Punyakhetang Lokasarati. Offering candles. Ganasarapparitena Deepena Tamadang Sina Tiloka Deepang Sangbundhang Pujayami Tamu. Offering incense. Gandha Sangbhara Yuttena Dupena Sugandhina Pujaye Pujaniyantang Puja Bhajana Muttamang. Offering flowers. Vanna Gandha Gunopetang Kusuma Santating Pujayami Munindas Siripada Saruruhe Pujemi Buddhang Kusumena Nena Punyena Metena Chahotu Mokhang Puphang Milayati Yatha Idam Me Kayo Tataya. Offering medicinal drinks including water. Adivase Tunu Bhante Paniyang Parikappitang Anukhang Pang Upadaya Patiganha Tumuttamang Adivase Tunu Bhante Gilana Pachayang Imang Anukang pang upadaya patiganhatu nuttamang adivasitunu bhante besajjang parikappitang anukang pang upadaya patiganhatu nuttamang. Veneration of all the pagodas of Buddha's relics and the Bodhi tree. Vandami chetiyang sabbang sabbethani supatittitang saririka dhatu mahabuding buddharupang sakalang sada yasya mule nisinnove sabbari vijayang aka pattu sabbanyutang satta vande tang bodhipadapang. Apologizing from the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha for any wrong, I would say unwholesome behavior we may have done towards the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamami bhante bhuri panya tathagata. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang Dhamma sandittika akalika kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya achayang kamami sangha supatipanna anuttara. Aspiration imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu tatan samagamu yavanimba
Satya.
sadhu.
Sadhu.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to the talk about the Sila and the Vesak poetry. At the end of the talk, we will do the meditation, and then Mike will be back that time. Okay. Let me ask you this question at the beginning. What is Vesak? So what is Vesak to you? Maybe I can start by asking from someone who wanted to, answer this question. Probably Ovindu or Ovini. Start from there and then I'll come to others. What is Vesak to you?
It's the day that it's the full moon day that the Buddha was born.
And enlightened and parinibbana.
Mhm. We call it the birth of Prince Siddhartha, and there were two other important events happen. Huh? So the enlightenment of the Prince Siddhartha, and then the passing away of the Buddha, because we have to say so, right? Some people call it differently. Now there was a book somebody wrote recently, Yashodhara, the Buddha's wife. People think it differently. People like to say Yashodhara and Prince Siddhartha. People take it very sensitive, right? So that way there were three events happen on the full moon day of May. So it can go anywhere of the month, right? It is not 26, it is not 27. It could be anywhere from 1 to May 31st. Yeah, anywhere. So that is Vesak to you, right? So what are the other ways of looking at Vesak? Maybe I'm going to go to Seth. So what is Vesak to you, Seth, other than what we just talked about? The three important.
Well, we do
Why should we focus on it?
because obviously it's a very important day for Buddhists, since like Ovindu and Ogini said, and so we should do something special on it, like take sale to respect.
Yeah, yes. What can we do for this day?
Well, we do. Well, right now we're taking sale, so that's one thing that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Why do we need to take precepts still?
I think it's like as respect something.
Is it just a respect? Okay,
Well,
probably somebody else might compliment the rest, but thank you though. Okay, Naomi. So what is Vesak to you? I mean, you're gonna delineate more about from the point that we just kind of dealing with. We talk about 3 events, and then one thing that we do is seal, and then why do we take precepts, and probably what are the other ways to, are there any other ways to celebrate this?
We take SIL to like gain merit, I think. And also we can celebrate by like being with our family and like our close friends and making food and stuff.
Oh, you mean generosity?
Yeah.
Okay, that's another way of celebrating, huh? But what do you think? Which one is more? I would say more relevant to the teaching. Is it generosity, or we become a? You can be a better person by being generous too, right? But taking precept is one more step to go beyond generosity. But yeah, Dileka, what do you think? What is Vesak to you? And then what are the things that we sort of like you know couldn't
Yeah,
talk so far about Vesak?
would mostly be one thing I remember is in a normal without COVID year, we'd be making Vesakuru and we'd be hanging them at our houses and at the Pansla too. Or like I remember a couple years back, we made Vesakuru at Pansla and we hung them all around the Pansla. That's one thing that I remember from Vesak, aside from the factual points that the others discussed. That's what Vesak, what I remember most of from Vesak from the previous years.
Yeah, that's another way of looking at it. So we can make Vesak lanterns, right? Yeah. Well, I'm going to Delok and Delon. What do you think? What Vesak is to you? I know that you are a bit yeah, early to say something, but yeah, what is Vesak to you?
Our family like decorates the house, and like in the background you can see.
I can see the beautiful. They made the lanterns over there in Halifax.
And
Who made those lanterns? You or your parents?
Our parents.
Okay. Yeah, you have 3 lanterns behind you, and there's a Buddhist flag. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
We have 2 more lanterns to make.
Okay, great. Okay, so we know that the 3 events happen, but we have to understand that there are 2 ways of respecting the Buddha. I will tell you a story, then you will understand how better we can understand about the Buddha, because this is about the Buddha. When the Buddha said that he would pass away in 3 more months ahead, then the normal monks started crying. The normal monks, unenlightened monks, started crying. And then there was one monk called Dhammaram. What was his name? Dhammaram. So this monk was not upset about it, kind of not, seemingly, he was not sad about it. And the other monks, they complained to the Buddha because they were unenlightened, right? They let the Buddha know there's one monk who is not concerned about your passing away in 3 months. This is kind of a nice, interesting, thing happened before the Buddha's passing away. And Buddha knew what really may have happened. And then Buddha asked that monk, Dhammarama, to see him in front of the others. Then monk Dhammarama came over, and then the Buddha asked the question. Why, all the many other unenlightened monks say that you are not concerned about the Buddha's death. You want to say something, right? And then monk Dhammarama said, dear the Buddha, I know you're going to pass away in 3 months. So I thought the best way to respect you is that to become an enlightened person before you pass away. That is the best way of respecting you, because that is what you found out after many multiple lives, right? Many billions, trillions of life, you've been suffering a lot, and then this is what you found out and you taught us. So I thought the best way to respect you is not just go and cry that you're gonna die, you're gonna pass away in 3 months, but to understand what you said and become an enlightened person. And I think that would be and Buddha said sadhu, sadhu, sadhu 3 times. The Buddha himself said sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And then he said, this monk exactly knew what I really said. So that means we need more practice rather than celebrating. That is what we have to understand, right? We celebrate, it's okay, because now we have to adjust to the contemporary modern world, right? Because some, like for example, now Delon, they were making lanterns. When you guys see what they are doing, you also feel you want to make the lanterns, right? Otherwise you feel like left behind, right? So that's a normal feeling. So it's okay to make lanterns, but the most important advice here is to do the practice. That is the most important thing, right? So that's why you took precepts. So why you took precepts today? Now what are the additional precepts today? Now the third precept called abrahmacharya. Abrahmacharya means now normally uh, we all are into sensual stuff, right? But today, for these 2 hours, you are minimizing your thoughts. You are not going after your wants. Only you with your needs, right? You are not going after your wants. I want that one. I want this one. You are sort of cutting down on that thinking. Vikala bhojana. You are not going to eat anything unnecessary this time. Probably when you are staying home, you go open the fridge, eat something, come back, eat something, come back, right? You are not going to do that today. You are going to be calm and quiet today for these 2 hours. You can drink water, but just to keep yourself restrained. And you are avoiding couple things. You are not dancing today. I mean, for these 2 hours, right? Because you're going to terminate your precept in 2 hours. You're not going to sing music shows, wearing garlands, using perfumes, beautifying with cosmetics. You are kind of spending a minimalist life these 2 hours. You gotta be minimal. You don't need those. I don't call them unnecessary. I call them things that normal people do, unenlightened beings do. But you are avoiding all that. You're gonna be an organic, minimal person to see how the life is, right? How the life looks like. Can I really spend the day without dancing, without singing, without listening to songs, without wearing different things, without having perfumes, without beautifying myself? Can I spend my day? A very big challenge for many. So you are spending these 2 hours that way. And then the last precept, 8.1, Uchchasayana Mahasayana. You are not sitting on the high and large seats and beds. You are just sitting on a normal chair, right? They are not finding comforts, not luxurious comforts in those places where you sit. So this is pretty much about the sila. Now I wanted to I wanted to ask you a question. What is sila to you? Because sila, virtue, is always tied in with other 2 things: samadhi, panya. Sila, virtue; samadhi, concentration; panya, wisdom. The Buddha's practice is threefold. If you start sila, doing it, you stop at sila. If you don't go further, you are stuck. So sila, samadhi, panya is a gradual process. It's like you are going into sea. There is the beach, and you are slowly walking in. The water is not that deep, but as you walk, you can feel that it is deep. So may I ask someone, what is sila? Why do we want to take sila? Now you might say today is Vesak, and that's why you took sila. But why we need to take sila? Take precepts. Anyone can answer.
To develop self-restraint.
Develop self-restraint. Okay. Others?
it could also be like a way of testing ourselves to see if we can match how the Lord Buddha spent most of his years. Like we are doing this for a couple of hours, but the Lord Buddha's obviously done this for a very long time, right? So I think we're just trying to get to his level for even a short period of time, just to see if we're able to attain that level of enlightenment.
Others? Why do we take precepts? 5 precepts or 8 precept, any precept. Why we take precept? Let me tell you without, because we have 14 minutes. We take sila to take care of our body and the speech. Self-restraint, but you have to nail down to body and speech. Because mind you can't. But you are going there. When you take precept, your body is calm, right? Isn't it? Body is calm, right? You are somewhere. And your speech is calm too. How about the mind? Not yet. But this will help you calm your mind. Because sila is to calm the main purpose of sila is to calm your speech and the body, right? And then samadhi is the next step. The second step in samadhi, what is happening is through the restraint, through the calmness you acquire through sila, you are able to calm your mind, right? You can't meditate right away, right? You need some environmental preparation, right? And then what happens when you have sila? That will help you to stay focused. And when you stay focused, you will become wiser. You will tap into wisdom. This is the practice of the Buddha. Okay, so the purpose of sila is to be restrained by ways of body and speech. The next step is samadhi, and you are going into samadhi after that by meditating. That is where you calm your mind, and then you are expanding your mind. That is called wisdom. Okay. And then, okay, so why do people renew precepts all the time? Do we have to renew the precepts? Now, when you come to temple, the monks give you 5 precepts, right? And then when you start an event, they give you precepts again. Do you have to take precept every time? Does it mean that you break every time after you taking precept? That's why you have to renew again and again? Why we want to take precept again and again all the time? Go to temple, you take it. Not even you take it. Why? Should we have to take precept over and over consecutively? Not necessarily, right? But as a cultural thing, you may take it, because we take the precepts as a cultural point of view, but you don't need to take it that way. So you take it once you took it, you're gonna keep the precept. You are not, you are not killing any beings. You are not taking what's not given. You are not misbehaving. You are not lying, and you are not taking any food or beverages, so that your mind will be in a place where you can make a sound judgment about what's happening. So that's why sila is very important too. And then in samadhi, we have couple ways to get into samadhi. We have 2 main meditations, samatha and vipassana. So samatha meditation, we know that normally that this is the meditation the teachers ask you to do if you are serious about meditation. We need to overcome 5 hindrances, because our mind is always hindered by 5 things. What are they? Kama chanda. Kama chanda means sensual desire. Is sensual desire always corrupting our mind? Huh? You just look at your day, how things happening. What are the things that are really giving you a hard time? Huh? Look at seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, thinking. All these aspects can give us a hard time, very challenging time, for whatever the reason. So this is why sensual desire is a hindrance to us. So it is like a different color paper that is between the object that we are looking at. Let's say there is an object here, and then but I can't see the object because I'm seeing through that hindrance so that I can't see it properly. And then Vyapada. This is the second hindrance that you're going to eliminate or overcome through samatha meditation. Vyapada means ill will, thoughts of destroying other people. In today's world, people may come up with these bad thoughts to destroy other beings, but in Buddhism you can't even think of destroying anybody for whatever the reason. There's no justifiable reason to do that. And then Tina and Mitta. Tina and Mitta means laziness of your mind. Our mind can be lazy most of the time, right? You feel you wanna be sleepy, you feel you are drowsy. That is not a good thing, because sometimes when you are really tired, it can happen to you. But if it is happening to you all the time, that means you don't have energy to practice the Dhamma. That means Tina and Mitta, third hindrance. The fourth hindrance is Uddacha Kukkucha, which means restlessness of the mind and the worry. I would say remorse. Right? Our mind is always restless, so we need to make it rested. At the same time, worries. Whenever we do a good thing, any action, any thought, any word, we have to always think before doing that particular activity. Otherwise, we will feel worry about that thing. And this is the fourth thing that you're going to overcome with the samatha. The fifth thing is vichikiccha, that means doubts. Doubts mean doubts about the Buddha, doubts about the Dhamma, doubts about the Sangha. We may have doubts, but if you have a doubt, you need to ask someone who is qualified to answer. Get rid of those doubts. So samatha meditation, this what you call under samadhi, you practice samatha or vipassana meditations. That is how you're gonna develop samadhi. And then you will have panya. Panya means you are able to, because of the samadhi, you are able to see things as they are. Because normally we see things as we are, not as they are. So this is the main purpose of sila, samadhi, panya. This is a gradual discipline. So now next time when someone asks you, what is sila? What would be your answer? Like, what is sila? And why you want to practice sila? Why you want to take sila? What is the answer for that question? Because I need to calm my body and speech. That's the main purpose of sila. And then to go into samadhi, right? And then not to stay at samadhi. I also want to move on to panya. This is a continuing process up until samadhi, sila, samadhi, panya. Okay, so any questions so far? Now we talked about the Vesak full moon Poya day and why we need to spend the day this way. And at the same time, we talked about sila, virtue, because virtue, concentration, and wisdom, they all are, combined together. This is the practice. Okay, so if there are no questions, let's do the meditation at this point. So please keep your postures. We're gonna do the same meditation, but probably a few more minutes. Practicing metta, right? Metta meditation. Why do we need to practice metta? Because our mind is always naturally, I would say, prone to the negativities. We are always going around the negative stuff, and we want to stop those negativities happening, so that we need to spend our time with metta. At the same time, send those metta feelings to other people too. This is why we need to practice loving kindness, to minimize anger, resentment, and all that, right? They are not good at any point. So the first thing, because you are children, I normally make sure that you are in the proper posture. I don't think you have any health issues, so please keep your postures, keep your back upright. Don't lean onto the chair. Keep your back upright, head and nose. Put your right palm on the left palm and close your eyes. And then slowly contemplate on these aspects of loving kindness. As we normally do, we start from ourselves because we know how much we love ourselves. And then we send the same metta to other people. In the real sense, this could be a feeling of caring other people, because we know that we can't have the same love to other people, but we are sending the same care to other people, other beings. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no problems come to me. May I always meet with success. May I also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May my parents, family members, teachers, relatives, friends, all indifferent persons, all unfriendly persons, I wouldn't call them enemies, but all unfriendly persons, all living beings, be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so keeping this in mind that you already took precepts, and so please take care of your precepts until the end of the Dhamma school today. So we'll be back around 5-6 minutes before 4, and then we'll terminate the precepts and then share the good karmas with the departed relatives and the deities, and we will close. Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Pandey. Thank you for taking the time to talk about Vesak and the importance of the occasion. I think we can, maybe before we get started, let me see here. There's Sela. Okay, so we can do the breakout room. Let's get the junior class with Sela into a room here. One room. Okay. It should be good. Okay, everybody. Good to see you all again. We have a bit of a shorter session today, but I think we can still get through some of the readings that we wanted to cover. We had already talked about the heavenly realms that are in the Kama Bhumi. I'm getting some feedback here. in the realm of sense desire, or Kama. Kama is sometimes also translated as, you can think of it as, yes, a sense desire or sensory pleasure or anything like this. So in that realm, there are all these various heavens, and above that, there are also the Brahma realms, and we began talking about those. But with regard to Vesak, the Bodhisattva, before he was born as in the Shakya clan on Earth, according to the traditions and the legends, he obviously had a birth before that, an existence before that, before he came to Earth in his final life. And does anybody know where that was? What was the last realm of existence, the last place that the Bodhisattva appeared before coming to the Earth in his final birth? Does anybody know?
I think it was a heaven.
Yeah, it was one of the heavens. Does anybody know which one?
Was it Tavatisma?
No, good guess though. It starts with a T. It's another famous one. I don't know if we've talked about it a lot, but it was Tushita heaven. Tushita means happy or joyful, joyous heaven. There's a little Wikipedia article on Tushita, it's got its own article because it's so prominent in Buddhist mythology and legend. So according to the story, he appeared there and lived for a long time as a deva in Tushita heaven before coming to Earth as the Bodhisattva. And according to mythology and the stories, that the Bodhisattvas always appear in Tushita heaven before coming to Earth. This is the destination of Bodhisattvas in their penultimate, their second to last existence. So that means that Metteyya, the future, the Bodhisattva who's next in line to become Buddha, he is there also at this time. And so many people also like to pray to him and to do pujas and invoke Metteyya because he's up there in Tushita heaven right now, supposedly, and can respond to supplications and prayers and things like that. So yeah, Tushita heaven is very important. Does anybody know does anybody know the previous birth, the last human birth of the Bodhisattva before he came as Gautama? This one's also quite famous. So he was in Tushita heaven, but before he was in Tushita heaven, he had a human birth. Does anybody know about this human birth? There's a Jataka about it. There's actually some holidays and celebrations for it. in various countries. There you go. He was supposedly the Prince Vesantara before going to Tushta heaven, and he was known for his generosity. He renounced everything. He had wealth and he had authority and respect, and he gave it all up. And that is what that occasion is. That birth is very famous for. So there are holidays in many different Buddhist countries that celebrate this particular story of Prince Vesantara as well. So there is a backstory, I guess. What I'm getting at too. You can look at the story of the Bodhisattva across many lives, as well as just in this final existence. And I think when we do that, it can be inspiring, because we think, hey, although we may think to ourselves, I feel like I'm not fully capable of going all the way just yet. It takes a long time, and we can put in the effort and gradually, slowly get there, because even the Buddha was once a Bodhisattva, slowly working his way there. So we can all do that too. Today, I want to talk about Brahmas. Last time we didn't get to talk so much about them because we had to skip last session. So let's go on in the textbook on page 605. There's the textbook, in case anybody has lost the link. 605. I think we did miss this. Please tell me, everybody is, oh, no, wait. No, that is, we got 609. We did 605. I got all mixed up because we skipped a day. Okay, 609. Okay, so we're talking about what a Brahma is, and sort of the history of this idea of a Brahma. Let's start with section 363, pre-Buddhist conceptions of Brahma. And I'm going to pick on Dilika, just because your name is first on the list. Dilika, would you read the first paragraph?
Page 609, right? Yeah. One
Yeah.
second. We'll get it to the page number.
You don't have to read there's a quotation from the Vedas or the Upanishads. Don't worry about that. You could just read the paragraph before it.
In later Hinduism, Brahma is one of the trinity of supreme deities, along with Shiva and Vishnu. It would, however, be anachronistic to assume that the Indians of the Buddha's time conceived of Brahma was anything like the attributes and qualities later assigned to him. The idea of Brahma as a supreme being and the creator god was one which developed gradually in Indian thought. Brahma is a deity that does not appear at all in the Ajiveda. In the earliest version of the creation myth, it is Prajapati who fills the role, and later texts retroactively identify him as Brahma under another name. In the Upanishad, distinction is made between Brahma, masculine, Brahman, neuter. The former is personified deity, and latter an impersonal supreme cosmic principle. The distinction is not, however, consistently maintained by the Upanishads, represent a range of philosophical
views, a bunch of different perspectives. Yeah.
There's I cannot say that word.
It's okay. That's good.
For instance, the Talavakra Upanishad has Brahman, neuter, acting as a very powerful personified entity.
Great. Awesome. Yes. So Brahma is famous as one of the three, the Trinity. You may even have heard of this in Hinduism. They have a trinity of principal deities, main gods. They're Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. But that's not the way that Brahma was viewed at the time of the Buddha. He is discussed in Buddhist literature from, like, when we see Buddha in early Buddhist literature, other people who are non-Buddhists talking about Brahma, they seem to be talking about like an all-powerful, benevolent creator god, very similar to the Christian conception, in my opinion. That's what I think. It is something not exactly the same, but similar. There's also this concept of Brahman as like an impersonal thing that is like the essence of the universe, or the ultimate reality, or the ultimate principle of existence. And in modern Hinduism, these two are considered different, but they seem to have emerged from the same kind of root. I mean, the words are even like from the same root. So they're very similar or closely related concepts. The idea of a personal, all-powerful creator God, or an essence of the universe, which is like God in its, but not like a person kind of God. So both of these things come from this older, these old Upanishadic and Vedic notions of God.
Mike?
Yep.
I have a question. What is an Upanishad?
Yeah, good question. Upanishad. So it is a Hindu scripture. It is a type of scripture. There are a bunch of different categories. I guess it's like there are different types of Hindu scripture, just like there are different types of Buddhist scripture. We have, say, for example, we have suttas, and we have the Vinaya, and we have the Abhidhamma, and we have commentaries, and all these things. Hindus have a similar thing. They have the Vedas. They're the oldest layer of their scriptures, and then they have the next layer in history that came up were the Upanishads, and they mean to sit near, like the things you hear when you're sitting near someone. So the idea is that they're kind of oral instructions or oral teachings that a guru would give their student, right? And they're very different, like they're all very disparate, because it's not like Buddhist scriptures, which supposedly all come from the Buddha Shakyamuni. These come from different people, so they're not always of the same, sharing the same perspective, but they have a few things in common. So this is a Hindu scripture that's being quoted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That's a good question. They're an interesting read, and I would encourage you to read them. They're valuable, especially because they help us understand the world that the Bodhisattva was born into, and the philosophies that he was encountering when he was in his own spiritual search. So his teachings are framed in that culture, so it is helpful to understand it. Naomi, why don't you read the next paragraph? Yeah, so skip the quotation, just go to the next page, the next paragraph.
There's always a problem of chronology when dealing with Indian history, and it is not possible to definitively decide which texts were extant at the time of the Buddha, whose own dates are a matter of some controversy. Furthermore, all the evidence, both external and internal, to the Buddhist canon indicates that there were a great many schools of thought competing in the India of the day, and this also makes it impossible to describe a clear-cut pre-Buddhist or contemporary non-Buddhist view of Brahma to compare with the Buddhist ideas of the Buddha.
Okay, great, yeah. So this is a very diverse time, and people had different kinds of views, and the Brahmajala Sutta goes into what some of those views are. Oh, Vindu, why don't you skip the next paragraph and read, we find a good description, that paragraph there.
Sure. We find a good description of the pre-Buddhist Brahma in the Brahmajala Sutta. This sutta is sustained polemic, refuting various wrong views, and the section dealing with the theistic view describes the deluded self-image of a Brahma who imagines himself as the one and only creator God and lists his epithets. I am Brahma, Maha Brahma, the overlord, the unconquered, the omniscient one, the one who sees all, the wielder of power, the Lord, the maker, the creator, the excellent one, the designator, he assigns each to his proper caste, the master, the father of all beings. He is falsely conceived as the first of all beings and as eternal.
Okay, great. Yes. So this is, I think, this kind of talk, like these proclamations of Brahma, sound familiar to me. Does it sound familiar to anyone else? What does it sound like to you guys?
Like maybe Christianity's God.
Yeah, or Islam as well. Actually, I think we see in Islam, Christians often talk about the Bible as the word of God, but the Bible is written in a third person narrative in which God is a character, right? Like, so they'll say like, God did this, God did that. It's not like from the first person, God saying, I am this, I am that. But the Quran is actually narrated in the first person by God. It's like God's diary. And so when Muslims say it's the word of God, they mean it much more literally. But if you read the Quran and you see the things that God says of himself in that narrative, it sounds a lot like this, very much like this. And that's not to say necessarily that this, if you take the Buddhist view, that doesn't necessarily mean that this being is evil, but that they have overestimated themselves, maybe. Not that they're lying, but that they maybe have gotten a bit too big for their boots. So this is a common understanding of Brahma. So that's, I think is important to put that in a bit of perspective, so we don't become too bitter or too or anything about Brahmas and Brahma beings. They are genuinely compassionate, and they are wise, and they are powerful, and they're, it's not necessarily like, I think many Westerners who become disaffected with Christianity or things like that are very critical or cynical about God. But I think the Buddhist view is not so cynical. It's just that God is not put on so high a pedestal. So let's look at a bit about according to the Buddhist teachings, what Brahmas are like. Let me see here. Let's skip to page 612. Yeah, 612. Well, that's a long paragraph. Let's see here. Ovini, can you read the first paragraph? I have
Sure.
confidence in you. It's long, but you can do it.
The first three levels of the Rupa Bhumi correspond to the first meditation jhana. This means that the natural state of consciousness of these beings is equivalent to that a human meditator in the first jhana, and the attainment of the jhana is the prerequisite for rebirth there.
So prerequisite means a thing you need to do first. You'll also hear this in like courses in university. This is a prerequisite course. It's a thing you need to do first. So jhana, the first jhana, is the thing you need to do first before you can be reborn as a Brahma. That's the idea. You can keep going.
This is the level of Rupa Dhatu that can be considered the Brahmaloka proper, and the being dwelling here are the ones who are called Brahmas in the most specific use of that term. There are three classes of levels of these Brahmas. From the lowest to the highest, there are Brahma Parisaja, Brahma Purite, Brahma Puruti, and Mahabrahma. While late sources such as Abhidharmasoka place these levels in three specific locations, each successfully further away in space from the earth, and depiction in the suttas is of three separate classes inhabiting the most cosmological space, just as animals, goats, and humans share the earth. Brahmakayika is a generic word of all three classes.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot of information. So essentially, these Brahmas can be just like in the heavens, just in like the sense desire heavens. Brahmas have a hierarchy, and there are things like the Brahma Parisajja, which is the assembly. Those are like the hangers on. They are considered Brahmas, but they are like a lower little, like a baby Brahmas, and they are like courtiers, or maybe perhaps they could be viewed as the employees of the great Brahma. And there's also the Brahma Purohita. Purohita is a minister, or like a priest or something like this, or like a chaplain. So they're the people who are his advisors. So all these beings together can be considered Brahmas or Brahmakayikas with a with those beings who have a Brahma body. And a Brahma body is a little different from a normal Deva's body because they're missing certain things, not in their appearance, but like they don't have some senses that like lower beings have. I believe taste is one of them. Like they have sense of sight and a sense of sound. I think that's it. They're missing the other senses because they're so refined. Their bodies are almost like theoretical. They're just placeholder things, at least at this level. So they're really just a shape and color, and there's not much else to them, to their bodies. Okay. Let's look at, yeah, this is good. Yeah, I think we can get through this. So let's see here. Seth, why don't you read the next paragraph?
Okay, so we have seen that the Rupa Bhumi levels are located at a very great elevation above not only the earth, but the sensual Devalokas as well. The immense physical distance reflects the great spiritual elevation of these worlds from those which lie below. The physical arrangement of these worlds is in complex nested hierarchies. There may be between 1,000 and 100,000 entire world systems beneath a single Brahmaloka. The Brahmas are said to be able to review the thousands of world below them, just as a man might examine some gall nuts held in the palm of his hand.
Excellent. Yeah. So in this sense, we have a very good, like a feeling of a godlike power and knowledge. They look over the world and other worlds as well, as though they were insignificant little things, and they can see all the details and all these things in those worlds. So they're extremely knowledgeable and extremely powerful. And they are to Devas what Devas are to us, essentially. So this is why it's often difficult to talk about. We talk about Devas in broad terms, but really the Brahmas we sometimes just lump them in with the Devas, but they're almost in a class of their own and should be discussed separately, as we're doing here. So Tilaka, why don't you read, I think this is the last paragraph in this section.
Okay. Starting from a note on lifespan?
Yeah, because I think this is interesting. Yeah.
Okay. The lifespan of the beings from this level and beyond are measured in the kappas. This is a term of cosmological time corresponding to the entire cycle of a world system. It should be pointed out that that for the first jhana level Brahmas, the kappa referred to is not a full kappa, but an asankayapa kappa, or roughly 1/4 of a full kappa. This distinction is necessary to fit the life history of the Brahmas into the bigger cosmological scheme. The lifespan of beings above the first jhana level are measured in full kappas.
All right, great. So you might have a few generations of these Brahma beings, essentially for every unfolding and dissolution of the universe. But the ones above them, I think a natural question to ask, I think Ovindu, you pointed out some mathematical inconsistency last time, which was very astute. And there's also one for the Brahmas. If the Brahmas live longer than a kappa, where do they live when the world dissolves? That's a natural question, right? If they live longer than the universe, what happens when the universe goes away for them? And it appears that this is reconciled by the fact that the Brahma lokas aren't affected by the dissolution of the world. Like they dissolve too, but on a larger time scale. So they're moving to a different tempo. So when the world down here goes away and the Deva worlds go away, they're still there for a while. So there's several cycles of this. There are many cycles of this world dissolving and reappearing while the Brahmas stay up there. And then eventually they will turn to like the hour and minute hand on a clock, I guess, is a good analogy. And this also contributes to their delusion of being immortal because they see the whole world coming and going, and they're still around. They're going, oh, well, yeah, I must be forever then. So that's an important thing to bear in mind. And I think I mentioned something like this when we talked about Brahmas before, and I discussed the idea of, if you ask somebody who's going to the Brahma realm to like leave you a note when they get there, by the time they manage to like remember that and put the note down, you're dead like 1,000 times over and the world is like dissolved, that kind of thing. The scale of time is so different. Let's look at what happens though. This is what we were supposed to cover today, and I think we have time to get to it as well. Page 673. We're going to skip a whole bunch of stuff. We're not going to talk about there are, first of all, how many jhanas are there? We talked about jhana as being a necessary prerequisite, something you have to do first before you can be born as a Brahma. And in the classic model of the universe, there's a level of Brahma for every jhana. So if you achieve the first jhana during this life and you make that a skill that you cultivate, you will end up as a Brahma of this level. How many other levels are there? Anybody know how many jhanas there are?
4 or 8.
4 or 8, yes. The 8 jhana scheme is kind of a later interpolation. In the suttas, it doesn't ever talk about 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th jhana. The term for it is a samapatti, which is like an achievement or something like this, or a kind of attainment. And there are some samapattis after jhana, and they're usually put in order, but some people debate whether or not these belong in the same category as jhana. And I think that's an open question. But it does map, those samapattis do map with these other formless brahmas that we're going to discuss too. So the first 4 jhanas are jhanas proper. They're described as jhana in the suttas. There's first, second, third, and fourth, and they're progressively simpler. They're simpler as you go into them. When you start, the mind is very scattered, it's complex, it's wandering, but you're coming back to this theme of meditation, and your mind is peaceful. Even if there's distraction, it's a peace. And then as you move forward, you get into second jhana, and things kind of calm down a bit, and third jhana even more so, and fourth jhana, there's just complete stability and equanimity. But you still have like a body, and you still have senses and these things, even at that fourth jhana. The samapattis are usually referred to as immaterial jhanas or formless attainments, because in that meditation there is no sense of form, there is no sense of having a body, there is no sense of being being located anywhere. It's very abstract, and some people say this is the next step after you get to fourth jhana. And some people say it's not necessary at all. Most people would say you don't have to do this. But if you do that, if you manage to go, okay, the first jhana level, second, third, fourth, these would lead you to the Brahma worlds that we're discussing. But if you manage to go even beyond that, into a further realm of abstraction, you stay in the Brahma worlds, but you move into the formless Brahma worlds. And these Brahmas are, again, very alien even to the Brahmas of form below them. From the different jhana realms. So we're going to skip over the second, third, and fourth jhana levels of Brahma. We're not that interested in the specific details. But let's get an overview on page 673. 673. Let's get an overview of these formless Brahmas. What happens when you enter this very, very abstract state through the practice of meditation. 673. Okay, where were we? Where the last thing? I think it's Naomi's turn. All right. Naomi, would you read the first, actually, you can probably get through the first page, 673. It's kind of short.
Beyond the plane of sense desire and the plane of form, there exists the formless plane, Arupa Bhumi. This is a realm inhabited by beings that are made up of mental factors only, without any trace of physical form. They are mind only and have no bodies. This makes them very difficult for us to imagine and impossible to visualize. Within the Arupa Bhumi, there are 4 planes of existence.
You could just read the English, it's okay.
The sphere of boundless space, the sphere of boundless consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. Rather, this corresponds to a meditative state which may be experienced here in the human realm. Collectively, these are called the arupa jhanas. They may be considered refinements of the fourth jhana as they have the same two factors. Ekagata, unity of mind or one-pointedness, and upekkha, equanimity. They differ from fourth jhana, however, in each having a specific and successfully defined immaterial object. One who has mastery of the formless attainments here on earth may be reborn into one of these formless realms after.
Okay, great. Yes. So the formless realms are sort of an extension of what's the same process that's going on because they are simpler. The process is really one of increasing simplicity. The whole world we normally experience is quite complicated. We have all these different senses. We have all these, I don't mean the physical world, although that is really complicated, but the world as you experience it inside your mind is really complex. There are different thoughts, and actually even the word thought itself is very complicated because thought really refers to all kinds of different things. It can refer to physical feelings in your body. That could be called a thought. It can refer to images or mental narrative, and then beyond that, you have other sensations in your body. You have all these kind of social interactions and conceptions. You have all the different senses. It lists 6. The traditional Buddhist framework lists 6, but we actually have many more senses than that. We have other senses like proprioception, for example, which is I'll close your nose and I say put your finger, close your eyes, and I say put your finger on your nose. You can do it. You won't miss. That's because you have a sense called proprioception, which is your ability to know where all your limbs are. You can sense up from down. That's a sense, and all these other things. That's a lot of stuff going on. As you begin the process of meditation, a lot of that dies down. And the senses become quiet, or they just start shutting off, right? Because you're not engaging with them. This is why the author of this book is often called the practice of calming meditation. I've heard him say it as the skill of non-attention. You stop giving attention to things, and that's how they disappear from your experience. And at this stage, it's getting simpler and simpler. You're discarding attention to different things and going deeper and deeper into this casting away until you even cast away the body itself. And at this phase in meditation, it's extremely simple, extremely calm, and very profound and powerful. This is not a uniquely, most people present this as not a uniquely Buddhist thing. Not only Buddhists can achieve this. I think everybody would agree that many, for example, Hindu yogis can do this, enter into absorptions which are without body. If you read the Yoga Sutras, they're very famous text on the practice of yoga. They describe how to do this. I've not followed this practice with any diligence, so I don't know if it works. I assume it probably does, but the objective of that is to enter a state in which the mind is left alone and there are no contents. It's just an empty mind with nothing in it. And this is an abstract, formless state, formless kind of meditation. And the Buddhist framework divides this into different sub-domains of, or different slices of formlessness. And they are increasingly simple, increasingly subtle. In the sphere of boundless space, this is the first one you enter into. It feels like the idea is that there's no object, but space itself feels open and boundless and free and wide. And the mind is focused on that boundless space itself. Beyond that, the sphere of consciousness is like boundless consciousness is like that space itself is suffused with awareness, and there's no sense of extension. There's no sense of here or there or coming or going. Space is ultimately about directionality and location. There's no reference of location in the realm of consciousness, boundless consciousness. And the sphere of nothingness is like lights out, basically. It's almost complete unconsciousness, and neither perception nor non-perception is like just a shade subtler than that. And many people regard this as, I would say most Buddhist teachers would regard this as an easy place to get stuck, because you can easily mistake these attainments for nibbana. You can easily mistake these sensations of your body dissolving into boundless awareness or things like this as being enlightenment, but they are not. They're just they're meditative attainments, and they're good, but they're not final liberation. So many people caution against these. I don't know if I would. It's a hard thing to caution against. So they're so extremely difficult to do. Some people say don't bother pursuing these. I would say my personal advice would be like, don't worry about it, because it's so extremely rare and hard to do. It's not something you need to worry about. It's like worrying about accidentally becoming an Olympic champion. Like, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen to you unless you are really, really trying very hard. Okay, on page 674, we're talking about what it's like to have a formless nature. I think we're at Ovindu. Would you read the first paragraph?
What page was it again?
674.
Sure. In all other forms of existence, mind occurs only in association with a physical base. This makes it difficult for us to conceptualize the mode of existence of beings dwelling in Arupa Bhumi. It should not be imagined that these beings have some kind of ghostly or immaterial form. They do not. No physical form means just that. This has some intriguing implications. For one thing, the existence of this realm serves an illustration of the principle that in Buddhist theory, mind is not a derivative of matter, but an independent factor. For another, the non-physical nature of these beings implies that they have no physical attributes, which would include extension and location. They cannot properly said to be anywhere at all, except perhaps for the lowest realm of boundless space, which can be understood as existing everywhere at once.
Great. Yeah. So these beings aren't anywhere particular. This, like a lot of pantheistic ideas of God as being everywhere, suffusing the entire universe, this would describe a being in one of these states, probably, that they're omnipresent or present nowhere. It's very abstract. Ovini, would you read the next paragraph?
Sure. Okay. Perhaps because of these startling implications, not all early Buddhist schools were in agreement on the immaterial nature of the Arupa realms. Although both the Theravada and the Sarastivada were the Katavatu records of controversy with the Anandaka school, who argued that the non-existence of matter would violate the dependent origination, which states that because of the consciousness there comes to be body and mind. These theorists postulated a subtle matter still present in the Arupa realms, an idea firmly repudiated by the Theravada
interlocutor. Interlocutor is someone you're speaking with, someone you're talking to. So this is the Katavatu. I'll leave it there. You don't have to keep going. I think we need to explain what some of this is talking about. So the Katavatu is a book of the Theravada Abhidhamma. I don't know how much we talk about Abhidhamma. It's very popular for lay people to study Abhidhamma in Myanmar, but not so much in Sri Lanka, I think. And in the West, it's not so popular. but the Katavatu is interesting because it tells us about the history of Buddhist ideas. And in the Katavatu, we have these records of debates between different early Buddhist schools, different perspectives. And one of these, it covers a bunch of questions or points of debate. Like some of the more famous ones are, is it possible for a layperson to become an arhat? This is one of the questions that's debated. And the Theravada answer is yes, but. The Theravada answer is yes, but they have to, like a layperson becomes an arhat would immediately enter the monastic life. And if they couldn't do that, they would just die. Their body would just give up and they'd disappear and they'd die. There are lots of questions about debate like this that were not really considered important in the Buddha's time, or he didn't answer them, they weren't addressed, is not covered. So one of these is, what about these arupa realms? So there's and this is an important question, I guess, because we have this idea of the 5 aggregates. And I've said this on probably more than one occasion. All beings are made up of 5 aggregates. What are the 5 aggregates? I'm gonna keep drilling you on this one because it's like basic. It's like basic level. Every time it comes up, I'm gonna ask you what the 5 are, and I'm gonna hope you can list them. Can anybody name one? Just shout them out.
I remember perception is one.
Yeah, perception. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, perception is one.
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Yep.
Feelings or sensations.
Feelings. Yep. Good or bad, neutral. This is feelings.
Cautiousness.
No, that's like a thought or an emotion, I guess. But yeah, any being could experience cautiousness, I suppose. There are 2 more. And they're probably the 2 that are missing are like really common ones that people talk about a lot. And we spend most of our time considering. Probably we don't worry too much about, I guess, our perception, our capability of categorizing things. It's like an innate thing. We don't give much attention to it. Or consciousness. We don't really think about it very much. But we spend a lot of time worrying about our thoughts. That bothers a lot of people. And the other one is the body form. So when you have all 5 of those coming together, we call it a being. And I've said before that it's kind of like a stack. You start with the body and then your feelings, and then these are each dependent on the other, right? And dependent origination also lists mind and form as coming together to form a being, right? Like they're both necessary components. You need a form, a body. And so some early Buddhist schools said that these formless realms are not literally formless. That's what's going on here. They said they're not literally without form because you need all 5 aggregates to make a being. And Theravada said, no, you don't always, basically. The position is you don't always need all 5. Some beings can just be mind, and that's it. They'll have maybe the 4 aggregates, but they'll be missing the 5th one. And this is because Theravada believes that mind and matter both, like they don't exist dependent on one another. The mind can exist. The mind is there, whether or not there is form. This is the Theravada position, essentially, that mind is an independent thing that like exists regardless of whether the body is there or not. But it becomes stuck to a body, basically. So this is a specific philosophical position. It's called dualism. You don't need to worry about it too much. But other early Buddhist schools said, no, that doesn't make sense. It's not. That we don't agree. So not all Buddhists agree with this. You don't have to believe it, but this is the official Theravada position. But because of this Theravada position, they believe that these beings are literally without form. There's no body to them, not even a little shade, a shimmering glimmer of one. That's it. Although this is complicated, this is a difficult position to assert because obviously we have the teaching of the 5 aggregates, and dependent origination says that there should be a body in order to have a mind. And that's what's going on here. That's what this discussion is. I leave it to you to decide what you believe. I don't think it matters a ton, but the Theravada perspective and cosmology assumes that these beings exist literally without bodies, and they're just abstract minds located nowhere or everywhere. Okay, and Seth, why don't you read the last paragraph there?
Okay, that's the difficulty of comprehending.
Yeah.
Okay. The difficulty of comprehending such an alien form of existence is no reason to reject the clear intention of the text. If the Arupa plane possessed some kind of subtle matter, there would be no reason to set it up as a category separate from the Rupa plane, of which subtle matter is already posited. Further, just as the plane of form is said to be the escape from sense desire, so the plane of formless is said to be the escape from form. This would not be so if form still existed on that plane. The only way to think about these realms is in terms of pure mind.
Okay, there you go. Yes. So it's a realm of pure mind with nothing else going on. They also live a terribly, terribly long time, a frighteningly long time. Let's look on page, what, are we there? Yeah, 680. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so okay, next page is 680. Anyway, this is I guess an interesting question, though. I'm coming back to the idea of this form, the mind without body. Modern scholars do not always agree about this because they're a lot of people in the modern world believe that the mind is made by the body. I think you probably have heard this position or something similar to it many, many times. The idea that your body includes your brain, and your thoughts, experiences, your consciousness, all are made by your brain. Your brain generates these things. And so when you die, this is called physicalism, this position, this belief. When you die, because your consciousness and thoughts and mental experience is made by your brain, when the brain dies, experience stops. This is probably one of the most popular views and beliefs nowadays. This does not align with Buddhist teachings. The idea that when the death of the brain happens, that experience ends. The Buddha did not himself believe this, and he did not teach it. That said, you can still practice Buddhism and take it all the way to its final conclusion if you're agnostic about this, or if you don't believe that experience continues when you die. If anything, perhaps if you believe that this is your only chance to achieve Nibbana, then you might try harder. So it's not necessarily that critical, but and the Buddha did encourage us to explore and experiment and test our beliefs and assumptions, and his teachings as well. There are many modern Western teachers who say that the Buddha never taught rebirth, or that he never taught that these things were literally true. I think if you look at the history of it, you'll find that is false. I think it's clear that at least the Buddha himself believed that experience continues after we die. Whether we believe that, it's up to us. We don't have to take his word for things. This is an important feature of Buddhism. We don't have to take everything he says just because he says it. We need to put it into practice and see if it works. So you can believe one way or the other, or you don't have to make up your minds. As I say, it's not crucial. But I think it's important to note that this understanding of experiences continuing beyond death is a part, and I would say a fundamental part, of Buddhist history and philosophy and understanding. And so we should at least, I think, put that teaching in its proper place and understand that this is the position from which the teachings have come. And we can take those teachings and do with them what we please, and whatever works for us, that's fine. You can gold is where you find it, so you dig wherever you find that gold. But it's just good to bear in mind, I think, that the idea that the mind stream continues after death, and that it's not produced by the physical body, is agreed upon by most Buddhists, I think, and most Buddhist thinkers throughout history. Although they don't agree exactly about how and everything, and you can come to your own conclusions. But anyway, this is deep philosophical stuff. Page 680, understanding the Arupa realms. It is truly difficult. I'll just start us off with this first section here, it's truly difficult to imagine formless existence. This is because both of its extreme subtlety and because of the vast difference from our own experience. For the realms of the sensual devas and even for the Brahmas, there is at least some image we can call to mind. Not so here. Tilaka, would you read? I think this will be the last paragraph about these guys.
Yeah, sure. The best way to acquire some idea of the formless is not through examination of the text and rational thought. Rather, it is attempt to touch these states directly via meditation. As a practical exercise, we may describe meditation loosely based on the Asunat Sutta. The mediator begins with what is called contemplation village. That is simple awareness of the ordinary space around one, filled as it with objects and people. Then in each successive stage, the mediator removes by non-attention one aspect of the field of reality and pays attention to what remains. Contemplation of village is followed by contemplation of forest, which means removing human constructs such as buildings and roads from awareness and focusing on what remains, the natural world of earth, water, and vegetation. Following this, the living world is removed and one focuses only on the underlying earth element, the rocks and soil, hills and valleys, and ultimately the mass of the planet itself. When this is removed, one becomes aware of underlying space occupied by the earth. Since there are no boundaries in empty space, this easily becomes boundless. Now there's only the mediator's consciousness filling boundless space. When the attention is withdrawn from space, only boundless consciousness remains. When the mediator ceases to pay attention to this, he focuses his awareness on the underlying nothingness. Finally, attention is withdrawn even from the concept of nothingness, and the mind rests in the subtle state of neither perception or non-perception, or nor non-perception.
Okay. Yes. Very good. I think I have a sample. I think there's a guided meditation on this. I think I actually was at this retreat. This is a, if you want to try this, the author of the book has taught this meditation several times. And this one, I sent you a link to a YouTube video in the chat here, where he gives a guided meditation on this topic and how to do this step by step. I think this was 2019. So I think I actually asked him about this meditation and he gave this teaching when I requested it at this retreat. Yeah, it's very good. He basically walks you through what is discussed here in the book. And this is his approach to learning to access these kind of formless states. And it's based directly on the Sunyata Sutta, which is the short discourse on emptiness. And it's how to experience literally emptying the mind of objects by not paying attention to them step by step. So you can, if you're interested, you can save that link and you can practice it sometime on your own. It is very difficult because basically you have to have a very powerful imagination. You have to use your imagination to remove things from your experience. You can do this. I think a lot of people have an easier time adding things. I can't even do that. But, if I said, you close your eyes, you just see blackness. And I say, imagine an apple, or imagine a car, or imagine your parents or something. You could do it. You could probably produce some kind of image. You probably see literally something there. I can't even do that. But we're talking about the reverse here. It's to look at things and to open your mind to the world, and then to imagine those things you see are not there. And the things you experience are not there. And then continually do this, removing things from your experience with the power of imagination. So if you can do that, if you practice that deeply, it leads to these formless realms. And that's the idea behind this practice. So it requires immense effort and dedication, but this is the roadmap here. One way to get there. Okay. Good. All right. I think that's probably good enough for for now. We've discussed all of that's it. That's samsara. There you go. We've now covered all the way down from niraya, from the lowest realms of torment, up to these most refined, abstracted states of existence produced by meditative practice, and everything between. We haven't gone through the whole textbook. We haven't covered everything in every little detail, and the textbook doesn't even cover everything either. The world is way more diverse and complicated than it's laid out here. This is just the framework that Theravada and the early Buddhist schools use to understand the world. But we know it's actually not like exactly like this. We know that, for example, the world isn't flat. We know that there's no gigantic mountain with gods living on it somewhere in the world. But there might be useful ways we can use these concepts to examine our own experience. But most importantly, we spent this entire year of Sunday school talking about samsara, and ultimately that's not the point. Where the point is trying to get free of samsara. So it's important that we bear that in mind as we finish up this course and we go into our lives and hopefully enjoy a summer and an autumn that are somewhat less restricted than the last couple have been, we can enjoy all these blessings and all this good fortune, but also keep our eyes on the prize in the long term. Okay, yes, there is a short conclusion here. There is a short conclusion where the author discusses nibbana and where the places of nibbana in all this. It's a quantum leap to emerge from the conditioned existence of samsara into the unconditioned state of nibbana. It is stated in the Abhidharmakosha that no one existing in the formless realms can achieve nibbana unless they had already attained one of the states of awakening before arising there. Because the suffering and impermanence inherent in samsara is so attenuated that no impulse for spiritual progress is present. You may have heard of this about all the kind of higher realms as well, that the higher realms are hard to escape from because they're fine, they're nice, they're great. What's the problem? For one who is an arahant or an agami, the meditative progression explained above contains one additional step. By withdrawing the mind from the most subtle object, neither perception or non-perception, the awakened meditator can enter the state called nirodha samapatti, which is defined as the non-occurrence of consciousness and its concomitants owing to their progressive cessation, and of which it is said, the peace it gives is reckoned as nibbana here and now. This is from the Visuddhimagga, though, not the suttas. And so there is some debate over what nibbana is. Some people say this is nirodha samapatti. It's like falling asleep, being unconscious. It's like oblivion. Others disagree with this. I would confidently and firmly put myself in the camp of arguing that nibbana is not being unconscious. The solution to samsara, I am teaching now only from my own experience and opinions. The solution to the problem of samsara is not to fall asleep. It's not just utter unconsciousness. We can look at all these realms with all their various subtleties and feel sort of desperate. And I think this can happen, especially a lot of people who practice Theravada, I find can, if you start to practice it very seriously, feel sort of defeated by the world and its various appearances and all these things. And there is a kind of understanding that the Buddha taught something like the extinction of experience. Since all these various ways and modes of experience contain suffering, there must be, the answer must be essentially to fall asleep forever. But that's not right. This is not the way that it works. The only difference between samsara and nirvana, as experienced now and here by the practitioner, is that samsara has this thing called I, and that's not there for someone who's enlightened. And in this way, someone like the Buddha can be awake and talk to people and eat and sleep and walk around the world and teach. He did these things for 40 years after his awakening. He wasn't asleep the whole time. He was totally free. The difference between us, all of these beings in samsara who are going up and down the ladder, who are in the nirayas, who are in the animal realm, who are in the Brahma worlds, The difference between these beings and an enlightened being is that there isn't anything that the enlightened being considers to be I. This word doesn't mean anything. It doesn't refer to anything for them. There's no object that you can point to and say, that's me, for the enlightened being. For the rest of us, there is. And if we can't notice it, it means our minds are just too scattered. But if you calm your mind, you can notice that there is a thing you're calling I, and that's an illusion. When you're free, there's no center, there's no I, there's just complete selflessness. Experience goes on, but selflessness is all selfless. And this is the difference between samsara and nibbana. It's not being in a very subtle, refined state of meditation. It's complete ordinary consciousness and awareness, but without center or self. And that's the more practical way to view it, I think. Because if it were some advanced, extreme form of meditative absorption, then you could only experience the end of suffering while you're meditating. You would, any other moment would be suffering. And that's not the way it works exactly. Meditation gets you there. It's what you need to do. But once it's done, the experience of awakening is carried into all experience. All experience is within that perspective. It's not a state, it's a change in view. And that's what happens. So that's the difference between samsara and nibbana, really, is just that different perspective. And hopefully we'll all get there. Hopefully everybody will get there. And you can put all the teachings into practice and see it for yourself, no matter where you are. And I hope that you'll benefit from it. So does anybody, I think we have a few minutes. Does anybody have any questions or comments or things you want to discuss about what we've covered so far, or administrative questions? We do have some stuff going on. I think next time is a review, and then we have an exam. If you have questions about those, we can talk now, or if you just want to chat about other stuff, we have a few minutes.
Mike, I actually had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So for like, what's the final exam going to look like? So is it going to be about all the topics we talked about?
Yeah, I think the way we'll format it is that it will be probably a fairly simple short answer. Like it'll probably be something based on short answers. I don't know if we want to go so hard as multiple choice, but I think short answers will be fact-based things. It won't be like essay writing or anything like that. There is enough trivia in this. There's been enough trivia, kind of interesting factoids over this year that we can, probably make this about asking questions about specific things. We can ask interesting details about various realms, or maybe how many like layers in yada yada, or asking about there's a kind of, say for example, there's a kind of hell that's like this, what's the name of that hell, these kinds of things. So I think it'll be how well were you paying attention in class focused, because it's easy to grade and it's easy to mark fairly. That's important, so that with essays it's a little harder. It can be subjective, and we want to be as fair as possible. So I favor this format, and that's I think how we're going to do it, as basically a short answer based on the contents of the textbook. And I think I'd like to do it open book, because this thing is huge. It's almost 700 pages. I don't expect you to remember all of that. And we would review what we have covered, not stuff that's sitting there in the textbook that we didn't discuss. So I like the idea of having it be a short answer format, open book, so you can use this as a reference, so you can look things up. But if there are any, I don't know if there are any particular, if you have any concerns about that format, or if you have some other thing reason you really don't want to do that, please air those concerns now. This is a good time.
Thank you.
Is everyone okay with that format? Okay. Bande Chandima, are you okay with that format? I know we've talked about this already, but I just want to make sure we're still okay with that. Oh, you're muted. Hang on.
Yeah, I'm okay if they're okay.
Okay, good.
I hope that open book, because it's a bulky book, right? So yeah, and then I think probably they learn these things for the first time, like these particular specific information about heavens, hells, and Brahma, some beings. They may have known to few by tradition, probably from their parents, but not kind of a specific knowledge. So open book is good, and the format is something that we want to. I think you already asked them.
Yeah, I think
There
we'll be.
is no question coming from them, I guess.
No, I think.
Short, yeah, short answers, right? Is it?
Yeah, short answer, like one line, that kind of thing, or maybe even one word, depends on, it might be, what is the name of such and such a thing, and
Yeah.
and we'll expect you to find that in the book somewhere or something like that.
But you're not asking a question like, where is Mahameru located, right?
No, well, I mean, the questions will be formatted in such a way that it will be assuming a certain amount of skepticism of the textbook and things and the contents of it. We are wanting to remember that these things are ancient traditions, and some of them may have bearing for us in our daily lives now, and some of them may be antiquated or outdated. And we're just going to treat it as stories. We're going to treat them that way.
Yeah. So, do they know the kind of marks how you gonna give? Like they give us the assignments already, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I was thinking perhaps we would grade it where this would be most of the marks. This would be probably 50% or more. I don't want to weight the creative projects too heavily. I was thinking no more than 30% of your final grade for that. I have all the marks done for that, by the way. They're all I've got them in. I don't know if you want to talk about at some point putting them up on the website, or if any of you are okay with that for the temple. But yeah, I think probably at least 50% of the final grade will be the final exam. It's the key question. Were you paying attention in class? Did you do the readings? Did you can you find the answers to simple questions about it? I think so. That's the most important thing.
That's more fair, I guess, because for the creative work, some might not be able to be creative as the others.
Yes,
but for the exam, they all have the open book, so they can,
That's right. Yeah.
They can have the similar access to the book and then find out, write it, right? So yeah, more marks can come from.
So I was thinking that most of the marks for the course would come from that final exam, and it will be short answers, open book, so you can look up the questions as you're going. So I think it shouldn't be too difficult. I think you could all easily get good marks.
Yeah. So Mike, what about the tentative days again? I hope. Yeah, today is
here,
almost at the end of May.
Yes, it's the 23rd now. I have slated the 6th for a discussion and review. So we can go over, I think the idea would be that we'll go over the various topics we presented and discussed, and perhaps this way you can know what sections of the textbook might be relevant. So I'm not going to ask you about everything. So we'll just cover, hey, we did this topic and it was this pages, and here were some general interesting points that we talked about. And it's just kind of a summary or a review of what we've done in the course. I think that's the intention for the 6th of June. And then the 20th of June, I have scheduled the final exam. Is that okay with you, Bhante? Is that okay with everybody else?
May 23rd is today, right? So
yeah, that's today.
And you talked about realms and everything, Arupa and all that, right?
Yeah.
So and then there's just a discussion and review, right? So it looks like all the lessons are done.
That's it. This is the last lesson.
Yeah. Last lesson. So June 6th and June 20th.
That's right. The 6th for a review and the 20th for the exam.
Yeah. And I think we have a couple lessons on our YouTube channel if you want to go back and, watch. Our temple YouTube channel. I probably think we have lessons. I think we missed a couple lessons, but we have lessons from. What was the first lesson we recorded actually?
I think I cannot recall.
Yeah, because I think from Hungry Ghost.
Yes, yeah, I think it was January 3rd. So we missed the discussion of the human realm on the YouTube channel. Yeah. We have those. I think we have those recordings somewhere, though, don't we?
Do we? I don't think though, because I didn't record. We didn't record before they get
Okay.
the consent, right? We didn't record
Yes.
anything.
Yeah, I think that's when we
didn't.
So that's okay. We can go over those first sections more closely if you during the review if you want. I think I'll let you kind of. We'll spend more time on things that you want to review more, and less time on things you're comfortable with in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Is that all?
I think that's all.
If there's anything that any student wants to talk, because today is the last day of the lessons, right?
Yeah. Is there anything?
It's been 24 years I became a monk as of yesterday.
Oh, okay.
1997.
Well, happy anniversary.
24 years.
Wow, that's it's a very long time.
Yeah. I was just 12 years old that time.
So you were ordained as a samanera at 24 years ago at 12.
Yeah, when I was 12. Yeah.
I actually that reminds me of a friend of mine. Also, he had been a samanera for 2 years, and he just went to England to finish his ordination this year. I haven't been in touch with him since, but I should go and see how he's doing.
Oh, right. Anyways, okay. So there are no any other concerns. So I can give you 5 precept to terminate your 8 precept today. Like, you wanna add something else? So
I think that's it for today. Thanks to everybody for being so patient with this long textbook and coming to classes as often as you could. Most of you were here all the time. So I think there are just very few days that people missed. I think it's been really fun teaching all of you. You've all had great questions. We'll still have time for another discussion and so on the 6th. So we can, if you have any more like big questions or things you want to talk about, keep them in mind and we can talk then too.
I have one question to ask them though, because this book, we had some informal, conversations about, Mike and I had some conversations about the book, because how are we going to present this book? And you were very adamant, very sure that children will learn something. I also, but I want to ask them what do they feel about this book, and the kind of lessons that they learn so far. Somebody can feedback, because this is not the Buddhism you normally hear, right? They only know philosophical side sometimes, right?
Or meditation. You'll hear about the meditation,
the philosophical aspects. Probably next time, if you want to give some thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it. Especially because next year I think we'll probably have someone different teaching the Sunday school. So knowing what you have all enjoyed and what you might want to do more and what you don't want to do so much will probably be helpful.
I think Ovindu kind of unmuted. You want to say anything?
Well, about the book, it was really different than Buddhism we usually learn.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
About maybe sometimes you might learn about Jataka stories, but other than that, we didn't really learn a lot about like the Buddhist universe.
I really liked it. It was really fun because we learned different things instead of just learning like Jataka stories. But yeah, I really liked it, and thank you for teaching, Mike.
You're very welcome. Yeah, I was a little bit concerned with because it is not made for it. The book isn't made for children your age. It's not.
Mike,
I know that. Sure.
Mike, do you have any joss sticks going on, like incense sticks?
No, I think it's just the lighting in here. It's not
like
smoky. It's just bright. Just the sunlight is right in my face. That's all.
Okay.
But I'm glad that you all persevered and were patient with the textbook, because as I said, it's not made for children your age. I tried to make it as simple and present it as easily for all of you as I could, and I think you all did really well with it, in spite of it being a little bit higher level than you're probably used to. So I'm proud of you for doing that and being patient.
And the other thing is, if somebody asks you one day, what's the cosmological idea of Buddhism towards the universe, and here is the answer, right? Otherwise, you might be puzzled what to say. We don't know anything about whether Buddhism talks about the universe, right? Universe, yeah, it's a good. Although it comes in different textual ways, but you have a sense of idea about it, right? Okay, so let me give you the precept. So please say Namo Tassa 3 times to observe 5 precepts.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Panati pata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Adinna dana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinna dana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Kamisu michachara viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Musavada viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Suramiraya majjapama datthana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Sura merayamajjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Let's share all the good karmas with the departed relatives and the deities, because today you all took 8 precepts and then spend the time, these 2 hours, with 8 precepts, practiced sila and also samadhi, and you learn a lot of dhamma things, and you develop your panya also. So let's share all these good karmas with the departed relatives and the deities. Idammi nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idammi nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idammi nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayo. Ittavata cha ammihi sambatang punya sampadang. Sabbe deva anumodantu, sabbe bhuta anumodantu, sabbe satta anumodantu, sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha cha bhummatta deva naga mahintika, punyantang anumoditva, chirang rakkhang tulu kasasanang, chirang rakkhang tudesanang, chirang rakkhang tumang paranti. Ovini, could you recite the Gatha for worshipping the monks?
Sadhu, 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 Silavantam Gunavantam Punyakhitam Anuttaran Dullavena Mayaladam Buddha Puttan Namamaha Silavantam Gunavantam Punyakhitam Anuttaran Dullavena Mayaladam Buddha Puttan Namamaha Silavantam Gunavantam Punyakhitam Anuttaran Dullavena Mayaladam Buddha Puttan Namamaha.
By the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, with all the good karmas you've been doing today, may all the good karmas be helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now I'm gonna be blessing you with a couple more stanzas. Please receive the blessings. Abhivadana silis nichang vadha prachayino chattaru dhamma vadhanti ayuvan sukhang balang आयुरारोग्य सम्पत्ति संग सम्पत्ति मेवच अतो निब्बान सम्पत्ति इमिनाते समिञ्जतो. Okay, that's everything. Thank you, Mike. This is because I want to thank you, particular on the last day, but this is not the last day, but this is the last day of the lesson. So, thank you, Mike, for taking time the whole year, I guess, last year as well.
Absolutely welcome.
Learn a
I'm
lot.
happy to help. Yeah, it's
Learn a lot.
I'm glad to see that and so patient and enthusiastic. I know that I'm sure that your parents have also been eager for you to participate, but you've done it anyway, whether it was out of your own heart or out of respect for your parents. Both are good intentions. Maybe it was both together. Regardless, I'm glad to see that you've persevered all this way. And I don't know yet if I will be teaching again next year.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm sure that I will see you. I will see you around the temple, or I'll see you for the various events.
Yeah.
And I
So,
hope to see you.
Mike is going to school again, in addition to his work. Mike, would you like to say that to them too?
Oh yes, the plan right now is for me to start a master's degree in the fall. So this will take enough of my time that I think it will be hard for me to do this to keep teaching. So next year, unless that somehow falls through and doesn't work out, then we'll probably try and find somebody else to teach the senior class for the Sunday school. And I'm happy to help build that curriculum or do a little bit on the side to help make it work. But yeah, I may not be teaching the Sunday school again next in September. That's the idea.
Yeah. So, and you've been teaching for 2 years almost now. So that's a lot.
I guess I have, yeah. So
it's been a long time. 2 years.
It's a strange feeling, but it's been good. You are all very insightful and patient and intelligent young people, and I hope that you carry all these teachings in your heart and put them to good use.
Great. Okay, so that's everything. We'll see then on June 6th for the discussion and review, right?
That's
so, Mike,
right.
how are you gonna review go with that discussion thing? Just discuss with different topics we did already, or
yeah, we're going to go over the topics we have covered and maybe go over some of the salient or most interesting important points from the textbook in those sections, and also probably most importantly help you know what's in and what's off the exam, which pages and sections will be relevant and which won't be. That might be helpful for you. So we're going to cover all that, and also any questions and thoughts and insights you might have will be, the time to share them. That will be a day for that as well.
One more thing before I forget, Mike, and our students, Selah. Is Selah over there, Seth?
No, she's not here right now.
Okay, she did a kind of a project, she made a flip book. I don't know how it's called. Is it a flip book?
Yeah.
About the temple.
Yeah.
This temple, our temple. Seth, do you know anything about it?
Not that much.
Okay, so probably we're gonna share that soon.
Okay.
It's also kind of project because she's a teacher already. So yeah, hopefully that will add some weight to the reputation of the temple. This flip book. Yeah.
Look forward to seeing it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you all again in a couple of weeks for discussion and review. Enjoy the sunshine and the rest of your weekend.
Yeah. And get the vaccine too.
Yes. Yeah. If you're eligible, go get it.